welcome to Cafecito Sin Mapa. We are going to do Meet the Roast, aka Meet the Host, today. So you guys get to hang out with me and watch me answer questions out of a little bag and get to know me. So grab your coffee, water, let's go ahead and get going. And I am sorry if I end up having to take more water breaks. I have water in there, not coffee, because my throat hurts. Just being honest. I also wanted to give y'all a disclaimer. If you're watching this, my hair usually does not look this frizzy. I skipped a step in my curly hair routine today and she's paying for it. So just ignore it. And because of that, I decided I'm just going to go ahead and show up as bare as could be. So we got glasses on, we got no makeup. And that's what we're rolling with today. So let's go ahead and start answering some of these questions. First one. What's a label that used to define you but no longer fits? I would say I used to be a straight woman, but now I'm not. That's one. I used to be a little conservative. Now I'm not. So those would be the two that come to mind. How do you make decisions? Intuition, logic, or emotion? I would say intuition and logic are usually hand in hand for me because I can usually like piece things together and I have a plan A, B, and C usually. So I think those two, but if I am caught in the moment, I might react off of emotion and then have to backpedal. So just depends on the mood. I'm a Leo, so really just am I being spontaneous or not? Next question. What should people know about your personality or approach? I'm really silly, so if you see or hear any random accents or I go off topic or off brand for a little bit, that's just what it is. You know, I'm all over the place. I have a million thoughts going on in my mind, and which path I go down is out of my control. I used to be told when I was in high school that I had no filter between my mouth and my brain, so I think that still stands true sometimes. What do you hope people feel when they listen to you? On this podcast specifically, I hope that you feel seen. And if you talk to me one-on-one or in person, I also hope you feel seen and heard. Go-to karaoke song. Fun fact, I've never been karaoke or done karaoke, however you say that. So I don't really have one, but I would probably pick to sing a Cardi B song or maybe Pink. Yeah. Or Katy Perry. I don't know. Some of those oldies are easy to sing and I can usually remember the words to them. What is your favorite TV show? Grey's Anatomy. I'm one of those, still watching it. Will forever watch it. We will be on season 50 and I will still be watching. What's your humor? Sarcastic, dry, goofy, dark, or witty? I'm really sarcastic and goofy. So it just depends on who I'm talking to. I try not to be as sarcastic, but so if you've made it to that level of friendship where I can be sarcastic to you, we're in it for the long haul. That's kind of how you can tell. Wildest thing on your bucket list? I guess bungee jumping. I'm an adrenaline junkie and I've been skydiving and I want to go bungee jumping, so I would think that's the wildest thing on there. Are you more serious and deep or playful and spontaneous or both? Well, being that I just told you I'm an adrenaline junkie, I would say I'm more of a playful, spontaneous person. I try not to take life too serious, but I can be. So both, but leaning more to the fun one. When did you know you wanted to podcast? That's an interesting one. So my friend Julie and I went to see Real Women Have Curves and I loved it. I've seen it twice now, but during that Broadway show, we kind of picked up on all the different conversations that aren't commonly talked about from a Hispanic viewpoint, from being immigrants to being first generation to be the family dynamic between the firstborn and secondborn and being born in the US to an immigrant family. Also, that dynamic between the sisters and how you're kind of trying to navigate old, I don't want to say old, but your parents have a certain way of thinking because their generation and way they were raised is very different than the American way. So there's just a lot of struggles and things that you are navigating for the first time yourself, and you don't really have someone to guide you. You're kind of on your own to figure things out. And that struck conversation. And as my friend and I were talking about it, she's like, you could talk about it because you have a lot of intersectionality and a lot of different experiences that aren't talked about. And so then that got me thinking, and I decided to just go with it and dive in because I felt like there's a lot of voices that need to be heard and a lot of experiences and things that, we don't talk about, but I think would make all of us feel more seen if we did talk about those things. So that's when it started, and I think it took a couple months for me to start actually putting some of this stuff out. So it's been a couple months in the making now. What's a fun fact or guilty pleasure you're willing to share? Guilty pleasure? I love to go to a diner. I don't know that that's very guilty. Fun fact though, y'all really want me to tell y'all? I'm going to tell y'all, and whatever, I don't care. You can judge me. A fun fact is that I can needle felt cat hair. Yeah, I can. I've made a little cat figurine out of my cat's hair, and it now houses her shedded whiskers. So, that's weird. Fun fact, I guess. Whatever. Judge me if you want to. It's all out there. I will show y'all if you really want me to show you, but I'm a little bit embarrassed. What thing guarantees you to laugh out loud? I am a sucker for like America's Funniest Home Videos and just like dumb humor. So if someone's like falling or random stuff like that, like it's not funny. Like I don't want you to get hurt, but they do make me laugh. And just like just dumb comedy. Do you tend to lead conversations or observe and chime in? Well, I'll be leading conversations quite a bit on this podcast, but I love to listen as well. But I don't mind being in the front and getting to ask the questions. I've gotten to do that in different panels and things through my day job. So yeah, I don't mind asking the questions and leading the conversation. Are there any labels people put on you that you struggle with? It's a tough one. I don't think I struggle with any of them. I think the biggest one I will say has a lot of layers to it is being Mexican American, because the experience from being a first generation to someone that actually migrated and has been here for years, or being born into second, third generation, even being the second or third born in a first generation family. All of those are different experiences, and I think that they're all lumped in together, right? I get why, but my experience is very different from my brother's experience and my cousins and friends. So it's not put on me, but I think it's just not fully understood to its full capacity. How do you stay grounded in who you are when things get chaotic? This one's, I think, quite irrelevant right now because things are quite chaotic in our world. I stay grounded by just talking to the people that make me feel seen and comfortable. I surround myself with my friends. I don't live near home, so it's usually friends, or I call my family back home. And I like to go outside, read. Sometimes I'll take my picnic blanket and journal at the park. That usually is really helpful in putting out thoughts, feelings, and all of that while secluding myself in Central Park without my phone. I love doing that, and that usually grounds me. It kind of brings me back to a calm state. I'll go on a walk. A lot of the times when it's super chaotic, and it's starting to happen now again, I wake up super early. I can't sleep. And so I'll go for a walk at Central Park, and that also helps me. So just getting outside, that's, I think, what helps me the most. Would you rather dance like no one is watching or sing like no one is hearing or watching? I already dance like no one's watching half the time, to be honest. You don't want to hear me sing. I don't have a singing voice, so I would rather just dance because I do like to dance and I don't want people judging me, so I do that. What label do you embrace and why? This one, we'll get into these questions that are on label and identities. We're going to really dive into them as guest conversations come up. But I would say that one that I'm really embracing now at my ripe age of almost 30 is my ethnicity of being a first-generation Mexican American. I used to hide that part of me quite a bit. I will say I kind of code switched a lot growing up and made myself whitewashed in a way that I used to literally be called a coconut because I'm brown but white on the inside apparently. And I think I've finally moved away from that and just fully embraced my heritage and being part of the Latino family and a Mexican American. So yeah, and that's been really beautiful, honestly. How do you handle conflict or disagreement? I like to duke it out. I'm kidding. I don't actually get in physical fights. I do like to beat a dead horse though. I'm very stubborn, so in conflict, I want us to talk it out, and I do want to learn where you're hearing from it. And I've gotten better about being able to pause and leave the situation to regroup and then come back with a clearer mind and in a less emotional state. But usually I have to remind myself to do that. Otherwise, I can sit here and argue like no one's watching. It's bad. But we're better. We get better as I've grown up. So I want to talk about it, and I'll listen, and I'll let you have your piece as well. Where do you expect to be in the next 5 years? Jesus. I don't know, because I move every couple of years. And I've been in New York for 2.5 years now. So the chances of me still being here are slim, though I do really love it. But where I'll go next is crazy. I don't know. I'd love to go abroad, but I also would love to be closer to family. So it just depends. I think it'll depend on what my status is at the time, you know? I don't know. If you heard that, I just got a message. I'm sorry. Should have put myself in D&D. I'm gonna do that now. Focus. Okay. How has your family or upbringing influenced the way you see yourself? Kind of talked about that earlier. I grew up in a trailer park for the first 9 years of my life, and I don't think a lot of people knew that because I, again, kept my school life and my home life very separate, and the friends I made at school were not the kids I normally would play with at home, and my cousins and stuff, because we all lived around each other. So that obviously really influenced the way I grew up, and it wasn't anyone putting that on me. I think it was just myself of not understanding how to explain that and just wanting to be accepted by everyone else. So I did a lot of code switching, and I think that influenced my upbringing, because my path to being authentic and my path to really embracing who I am and not being embarrassed about it has been a long time in the making. Yeah, and now I'm proud of it, because you know what, it takes a lot of hard effort for my parents to get us from one place to the other, and they should be honored and thanked for that, not be embarrassed for it. So part of growing up, I guess. What do people often say it's like to be in a conversation with you? Probably a roller coaster, because I can go from topic to topic and we can be silly and fun, but I also love to have deep conversation. So that can really be up and down, just all around conversation. So I think a roller coaster would be a great way of describing that. What identity do you wish more people talk to you about? You know, I think that I'm in a place where people do talk to me about just like the Latino experience. So that's been nice, and I'm really enjoying that part of people being open and giving me that part of their experience. I think that I don't talk a lot about my sexuality. I never really came out, if we're being honest here. I think I told certain people if they asked, and of course, like my mom and my brothers, but other than that, I've just existed, and if you ask, that's it. And so it hasn't always been a part of the conversation, and sometimes it's weird when certain things are brought up and I'm like, well, guys, be careful, I'm right here, you know. Do you thrive on structure, or are you more of go with the flow? Well, I am very go with the flow, but I really need structure. So that is a battle I am constantly fighting and getting better at it. But yeah, no, I'm very good with the flow. I also will undermine the structure. So I can put myself on a strict calendar, agenda, whatever, and I'm like, well, I don't feel like doing that. So, well, and I guess that means I lead by emotion. Circling back to that question. What are some hobbies or obsessions that people wouldn't expect? I love to read. I don't know if people pick me to be a reader, but I love to read. I'm a huge coffee snob, so I love finding coffee beans. And oh yeah, I think that people don't actually realize that I love coffee so much that I have just about every single method of making coffee at home. And yet I spend a lot of money on buying coffee as well. So I don't know, it's weird, interesting. People don't really know that. Where do you want to go? I don't know if this was part of another question or what, but it just says, where do you want to go? Abroad. I love to travel. I would say like my number one top of the bucket list travel would be going to Zimbabwe, because Victoria Falls is there, and I've had this like crazy idea of going to the world's largest waterfalls and then bungee jumping from them, and I just think it'd be so much fun. I don't know. How would your friends describe you? Recently, they've been describing me as Stitch, because I can be hormonal and aggressive, but funny and sweet. So, I don't know, that's the first thing that came to mind. I don't know. I think they would definitely say I'm a ball of energy. But I hope that they would say that I'm very accepting and open. Whew. What's a label you resisted at first but now embrace? I think I've talked about that already. I've definitely resisted being a Mexican American, specifically first gen. But now I'm embracing that. I will say I also resisted being bisexual for a while. That's been a roller coaster of a ride as well. we'll get into that in an episode later on. How do you describe your communication style? Pretty direct. I don't really beat around the bush. I'm not shy to ask questions. So if I'm communicating, I'm usually very thoughtful and respectful, but I'll also be direct. How do you approach cultural appreciation and your identity? How do I approach cultural appropriation? Not appropriation. I keep thinking it's appropriation, but it's actually appreciation. I think if you're doing it respectfully, it's fine, you know? I love Mexican food and I do listen to some Mexican music, usually throwbacks or like Spanish music. So I think just leaning into it, I approach it by embracing it. Yeah, I don't know. I try to buy and support Mexican businesses and Latino businesses as well. But if there's a Mexican business or owner out there that I know of, I'll support them. What's your favorite hobby? Probably right now, I'm back to being obsessed with coffee. So I think it's just my obsession for finding my hobby of finding cool coffee shops in the city. Boring. But I have a lot of hobbies. I can actually teach myself just about anything. So I have a lot of random arts and crafts that I do as well. Do you feel like you belong to a particular community or group? Why or why not? No, I don't. I'm a part of a lot of communities, and as much as I fit into those, I don't ever feel like I fit entirely because of how much intersectionality there is in me. I mean, think about it. I'm bisexual, so yes, I'm a part of the LGBTQ community, but I do have a 50% chance, I guess, of being ending up in a relationship with a man and being perceived as just a heterosexual person. Being Mexican American, I mean, there's both, and that's also a spectrum on like how much you dive into your culture and how much you embrace it versus where you are and what you're doing. So I just think I don't feel like I fit in one place entirely. How do your gender, race, sexuality, or other facets of identity impact how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself? We've talked about this already. I don't know that being a woman has really impacted how people perceive me outside of my family. Yeah. My parents have always been very like, oh, because you're a girl, you should do this, or because your brothers are boys, they have different rules. And that is something that I really struggled with growing up, and still to this day, I will get in arguments with my parents over any conversation that turns into, well, because they're a girl or because they're a woman. Nope. Try again. Give me a real reason. So that one. What's something surprising or quirky about you? I don't even know. I mean, I don't know that anything's surprising. That I like to be alone. I'm a social butterfly, but I do actually really enjoy being by myself. So I think people don't really realize that. Are you more of a thinker or a feeler? More of a thinker. I can go down some spirals with my thinking. I struggle with feelings, actually. If you're my therapist and you're seeing this, I at least acknowledge it, right? What part of your identity do you think people misunderstand the most? I think that's a good one. What people misunderstand the most? I feel like people don't understand my experience. And I'm purely talking from like my hometown and where I grew up, because I did code switch so much. I don't think people realize that I was the translator and the person filling out everything at home. I was the one kind of managing the family, playing that like third parent role of like help role and helping my brothers and anybody else that needed help. But yeah, so I think I led people to misunderstand it, and it was never really clear what my home life was like. I hope that makes sense. I mean that as a firstborn, first generation, I just had a lot of pressure on me to grow up because I had to translate for my family. I had to fill out information. I had to translate at doctor's appointments or any legal document. I was the one having to read that. At a very young age, I knew how to fill out any application you could ever need. Yeah, I could do just about anything really early on. And I don't know that people really understood why. Sometimes people would say, I feel like you grow up so fast, or you're so mature for your age. Well, it's part of the role, guys. Part of the role. What's your coffee order? I love an oat milk latte, and if they have syrups, I love honey and lavender. Those are my two faves. And if they have both together, that's killer. Delicious. Also, if they have dulce de leche, which is not everyone has that, but if I can find a place that has that, I'm a hoe for that. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. How do you identify yourself in your own words? I am just a human. In my own words, I really think I'm just, I am trying to learn to love myself in the best that I can while embracing all of those identities. So I think letting myself just be whoever I feel like being that day is really important. I don't think that's what that asked. How do you identify yourself? I have a lot of identities. I think I told you guys, obviously, you saw my identities order list. But in my own words, I'm just a girl. No, it's really important to highlight those, so Mexican American first generation bi woman who is just living. Yeah. Trying to stay in her lane. I think that's what I try to do. What kind of relationship do you want with your listeners? With like friends, mentors, guides, fellow followers? I really want this to feel like a friendship. I'm not here to like lecture anybody. I want it to be an open conversation and platform. Yeah, I just want us to feel like friends, be friends, of course, if I get to meet you guys. And for those that are, that I do know, I want to be your friend. How do you want to impact your audience's lives? I said that too. I think just by allowing people to feel seen and heard, that's all I want. And if you can find that in the conversations that we have on the podcast, then my job is fulfilled. Like that is really the whole purpose, is to make sure you feel like you're not alone in the world, because that's a scary place to be. How old are you? Well, currently I'm 29, but I will be 30 in July. Fun fact, it's my golden birthday. I'll be turning 30 on July 30th. So get ready for some fun. What's your go-to activity to share with everyone? An activity to share with everyone. I love going to Broadway. Is that an activity? I usually take people to Broadway shows when they come visit me. It's fun. Last one. Are you energized by people, or do you recharge alone? I think I talked about that one too. Oh wait, there's two more in here actually. I like to recharge alone. I love being with people and I am very energetic, but I do need my alone time to recharge. There's certain people I can recharge with and just like exist with, but not a lot of people. I like to be by myself. What part of your identity feels most central to who you are? I think being Mexican American is the most central, but again, there's so much crossing between all of them that I don't think there is one without all. So that's kind of my answer there. Last one this time, for real. What's your dream job? Growing up, I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to work with kids, and I am not a nurse. I actually got a finance degree, and I don't work with kids. So I don't know how I messed up there, but I think now I would still like to have a job that helps people. My current job, I do work in the fintech industry, and we are working or like helping people with financial struggles and getting access to their money. So I would say that it's still meaningful, but I would like to be more hands-on. Yeah, I would like to be more hands-on. So what does that look like? I don't really know. A fun job that I'd like to have, it's called a cupper, if I'm not mistaken. It's think of like a wine sommelier, but for coffee. And these people know how to taste for regions and like roast and all these different characteristics of coffee beans simply by like smelling and tasting them. I think that would be really cool, specifically just like going through the process to become a professional cupper. I don't like that they're called cuppers, but I guess because you hold the cup. But anyway, yeah, that would be a fun job that I think I would really enjoy. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining while I answered all these random questions. Just making sure those are all it. I hope that you guys are having a good week, and we will see you next week with the first podcast that's not talking about me. Until then, I hope your coffee stays hot and stay safe, guys. It's a rough time out there. I would be crazy not to mention that right now before logging off. It is crazy what's going on in Los Angeles, and this is coming out a week after. So I'm hoping that things have settled by the time you see this, but I am staying informed as much as I can, and I'm praying and hoping that anyone that's impacted can find their way back to their family, and that as we continue to speak out on these issues on immigration and ICE, that we will maybe see some change. So just trying to stay positive over here as much as I can. Truly and honestly, that's why I also look a little rough today, because I have been just going down a rabbit hole on how everything is, and I see it. I hurt right along with them. I mentioned earlier me being a first generation Mexican American. It just hits different, because had I been born at a different time, my family would also be impacted by what's happening now. So just because I got lucky and was born in a time where that didn't happen to us doesn't mean that I should shy away from what's happening, because it's still my people. It still could have very easily happened to me, and it's very real, and it's very sad, and it's scary, and I can't imagine what people are feeling. I doubt that they can go to sleep not knowing where their loved ones are or if they will be ripped apart in the days to come. So thank you to everyone who's out there protesting. I hope that everyone's staying safe and, wearing the mask, using the water for your eyes with the tear gas. It's crazy. I just hope everyone stays safe. With that, I will leave y'all and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.